Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out Tim and how the Replacements ruined everything.
We're talking to Paul Westerberg, guitar and vocals, and Tommy Stinson on bass. How's the tour been going?
It's going swell. We've had 5 days of pure fun and
Nice.
and something. Who do we have here?
Stop this mess. They're fired, and I quit.
This is all the people need to know.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
In 1985, the Replacements had the
Cool.
potential to become the next big thing. After 4 years of producing quality, pop-coated hardcore, their major label debut, Tim, was supposed to be their next step, their leap into the mainstream. As stated in the album's Rolling Stone review, Tim sounds as if it were made by the last real band in the world. And in the face of new wave electropop and the million made-up faces of MTV, the Replacements really did seem like the last bastions of that classic rock and roll sound. That lineage that went back through the Stooges, via the Stones, to Chuck Berry. The Replacements had the sound, they had the songs. Nothing stood in their way other than themselves. This is the story
boy.
of Tim and how the Replacements blew it.
Oh jeez. Okay, y'all. Okay. The Replacements are one of those bands that I've heard of on the wings, and I just saw them in another Trash Theory video about how punk became pop. There was a two-parter that I'll post a link if you're curious. But be sure to go to Trash Theory and like and subscribe. But they briefly mentioned the Replacements in that, and they were part of the punk thing that went pop, but they never ascended. So I think they got as popular as they were ever going to get when I was too young to know what was happening. Anyway, I'm curious to learn more about them. I have no idea. I don't know Tim. I've never heard Tim. I can't think of any songs of theirs. There's a fly in here. I left some chicken on the counter. Just kidding. Or did I? Anyway, the Replacements. Rip off the Beatles. Haven't we all, though? Doesn't everyone rip off the Beatles? 1979 and 1984. Origins, Twin Tone Records, and Let It Be. Song, I Will Dare, the Replacements.
The Replacements formed in Minneapolis, 1979, composed of Paul Westerberg on guitar and vocals, Chris Mars on drums, and the Stinson brothers, Bob on guitar and Tommy on bass. By 19...
I've heard of Paul Westerberg. I think he went solo. Did he have a... He may have made a solo record that I've heard of. I'm
on
not sure.
drums, and the Stinson brothers, Bob on guitar and Tommy on bass. By 1983, they had produced their fair share of lightspeed tempo gutter anthems, not least their anti-call to arms, Kids Don't Follow. An ode to
I was distracted by his description. He said light speed, and for some reason I thought, oh, like slow, like light speed, L-I-T-E speed, like just like a light beer. But no, the speed of light. What's wrong with me? Anyway, okay, yes.
An ode to apathy, Color Me Impressed.
Wow.
But Westerberg had grown bored with their pseudo-hardcore. Recorded between tours in late 1983, early 84, their next album, their third, would switch things up. Their early influences of the Heartbreakers, Buzzcocks, and New York Dolls were giving way for the less punk likes of cult power pop group Big Star. And 70s
That's 74?
and
That sounds like much later in time than it was. I'm surprised.
and 70s radio pop.
Wow. Huh.
Well, they
That's, it's almost like yacht rock, but but bluesier or slightly earthier, you know? I guess it was pop music at the time, right?
While they still had the awesomely dumb power trash belters like Gary's Got a Boner.
They're tackling the tough issues, y'all. Gary's got a boner. Look out.
This was augmented with an influx of new, softer material. Future college radio hit I Will Dare's Indie Swing. Sounded
So different. Or is it? Well, no. It sounds a lot like that 70s pop stuff, doesn't it? This is making sense. It's for them, it's like a 180, though. That's totally different.
sounded less like contemporaries Husker Du and more like the Smiths and R.E.M. with a guitar solo provided by the latter band's Peter Buck.
Oh.
The Stones' referencing ballad, Unsatisfied, alluded to Westerberg's indefinable ambition for more, for both himself and his band.
Ow.
I was not terribly happy. It was just the feeling that we're never going anywhere, and the music we're playing is not the music I feel, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to express myself. I felt that one to the absolute bone when I did it.
Wait, so he didn't like the poppier stuff? His throat sound, like, the way he's singing hurts me physically. He wanted to be more than a punk, y'all. He didn't want to be a replacement. He wanted to be the thing, right? He wanted more. He had ambition. He was working so hard, probably. And they've been going since the late 70s, I think. 78, was that right? I'm not going to rewind it and look. He wanted more.
And I don't know how to express myself. I felt that one to the absolute bone when I did it. This new album also brought a change in band dynamic, from a dual partnership between Westerberg and Bob Stinson, to Westerberg as the de facto songwriter. Stinson would brush up and kick back against the Replacement's change of direction over the next few years. It was hard getting across the idea we should just put the best songs on the record, even if there wasn't always a place for Bob to have a hot lead. Bob was the hard one to get to acquiesce.
The lead guitarist syndrome sounds like. Oh, man. I've mentioned it on this channel before, but I'm going to say it again. Everyone in the band should get songwriting credit on every song. If you want the band to stay together. If you don't care, if you want to have hired gun musicians posing as band members, then don't do it that way. And if you want members to change all the time, people get jealous with the money, y'all. Poor Bob. Poor Bob. He wanted that hot lead.
The album was dubbed Let It Be after the Beatles song of the same name.
Oh.
Speaking words of wisdom.
Oh, that one.
Much to the annoyance of their Beatles-obsessed manager, Peter Jesperson. We did it pretty much to piss him off, and pretty much to show the world, in a Ramones kind of way, how dumb smart we were, just to figure out how many feathers we can ruffle.
I mean, I see it as kind of an uncreative choice.
Let It Be was released in October 1984 via independent label Twin Tone Records. While the Replacement's earlier releases had each sold a few thousand copies, nowhere near enough to pay off production and touring costs, Let It Be sold 11,000 in a couple of months, soon outselling the lifetime sales of everything previous. Wow. But as the band never properly signed a contract with Twin Tone, the band weren't getting royalties.
Oh, they never signed a contract. They never signed a contract. They never signed a contract. Gotta sign that contract. Twin Tone, what the f*** though? Have some integrity. Just because they didn't sign a contract, pay them what they're owed. You're the problem. But I wonder how many records they sold because people buying the record thought, oh, Let It Be, the Beatles album. Yeah. Oh, it's got a new cover. Let's see what that's about. Oh, the Replacements did a cover album of the whole album, Let It Be. Let me get that. Wonder how that contributed. There are dumb people out there, y'all. People will do that. It happens.
They wanted out, the label wanted them out.
Oh.
But as was often the case, the Replacements stood in their own way.
Okay. The Replacements let down the music industry. How did they let them down? This is okay. 1984, Tone Deaf covers the Pussy Set and Signing to Sire song Iron Man Live, The Replacements. How did they let the music industry down? Because I feel like the music industry is usually the one to let the artist down. So, yeah.
At the end of 1984, Let It Be would be placed at number 4 on Village Voice's Jop and Paz list, ahead of R.E.M's Reckoning, Hooskadoo's Zen Arcade, and the Minutemen's Double Nickels on the Dime.
Wow.
Buzz was building. Major labels were starting to show interest in the band, and the Replacements were trying their best to dissuade them. At their October 1984 CBGB show, attended by several music industry types, the group finished their purposely spotty set with a ramshackle approximation of the Rolling Stones' Start Me Up. After it collapsed a verse and chorus
After it collapsed a verse... Oh, okay, sorry, just stop it.
later, Westerberg sneered into the mic, "Do we get a record contract now?" By this point, the Replacements were known to be a hit-or-miss live presence, but mostly it came down to how they were feeling. Theirs was a choice: to treat the crowd to a high-energy, full-tilt rock and roll show, or to let them down. Oftentimes, when confronted with a hall of hardcore punk kids, the band, in a combination of boredom and beer, would much rather fuck with them and play their patented Pussy Set, full of tone-deaf pop covers and countrified originals that were impossible to slam dance to.
Wow, these guys are punks at their core. They're so punk that they want to piss off the audience, that they start playing the pop music they're punking against. They're making fun of it. Yeah, they're shooting themselves in the feet, in the foots. They're shooting themselves in the footsa.
Pop covers and countrified originals that were impossible to slam dance to. I was a fast learner. I figured out that danger was what people sought, and there was a certain danger that we were capable of. That wasn't your usual thing about destruction or "we're gonna hurt you." It was, what if we get up there and played a song by Hank fucking Williams? It's like, that's gonna piss them off.
I think that's a great choice. I think they're subverting the expectations of the audience, but they're doing it to piss them off. If I was in the audience, I think if I was in the audience, I don't think I would feel like they're telling me to f off. I'd be like, oh, they're playing a Hank Williams Jr. song. That's an interesting choice. Didn't expect that. All right. You know, they put it through the Replacements filter, and as long as it sounds like the Replacements, it's just a good song, right? That's how I think I would interpret it.
In December '84, the band returned to CBGB's for an industry-filled showcase, playing under the pseudonym Gary and the Boners. After introducing themselves as fellow Minneapolis band Soul Asylum, the band stumbled through 40-odd song snippets. Only half a dozen were actually theirs. Snippets as each song was aborted before its conclusion. Matt's fans that were present began chanting for the Pussy Set early on, which resulted in serrated interpretations ranging from Jolene, to Iron Man. A&R reps left in droves as Westerberg mangled Replacements lyrics into the covers. U2's I Will Follow became Kids Don't Follow. Let It Be became Fuck School. And
That's brilliant. I can't believe those record label people left. Well, I mean, that would be a risky sign. You couldn't control them. Yeah, it's weird when a band with that kind of attitude signs to a major label. It's like, you're not a punk anymore. You're like part of the machine. How can you rage against the machine when you're the machine? This is a conundrum of rock, right?
The delight of the in attendance Alex Chilton, Big Star's September Girls became customer. But no one stuck around to give the band a record contract. A few nights later, the founder of Sire Records, Seymour Stein, saw the Replacements play Irving Plaza. This was the Replacements on a good night. Sure, there were covers, but mostly they played their originals, with no hint of self-sabotage, even airing a Big Star indebted track called Can't Hardly Wait. Suitably impressed, Stein signed the band. It was the best move for the Replacements, being that Sire was the cooler wing of Warner Brothers.
Warner
previously
Brothers
having
still.
the Ramones, Richard Hell, Pretenders, Talking Heads, and the Dead Boys on their roster. Still,
Oh no, the Replacements are on the same roster as the Pretenders. It's like the same word in my brain. It makes me stutter. Sorry to stop it.
Richard Hell, Pretenders, Talking Heads, and the Dead Boys on their roster.
Stylistically, though, that fits. Like, they could all open for each other. That's actually a good group of groups.
Dead Boys on their roster. Still, on the contract, Westerberg and Mars signed each other's names as a form of deniability. In our own fucked up way, we thought that would be our out if we ever had to go to court. We could swear to God that we never actually signed our names on the contract.
Would that work? I don't know if you could do that. I think a judge would say, I think a judge would call bullshit. Unless the judge is a robot.
In the mid-1980s, alternative rock was still that. Alternative. The Replacements would become guinea pigs for the way alternative music would be developed, promoted, and sold. Over the next 6 years, bands like fellow Twin Cities residents Husker Du, as well as Faith No More, Jane's Addiction, and Throwing Muses, would also be signed to Warner Brothers, an attempt to break the ground between alternative and mainstream. But the label's hopes and dreams for the Replacements didn't align with those of the band. I think our ambition is to be the biggest, worst band in the world, and to make a lot of noise. That expresses it perfectly, and to get shit-faced.
I gotta hand it to Warner Brothers for investing time and money in these alternative bands. Like, someone at Warner Brothers saw that even though this is not what the mainstream is looking for, there's something there. Kudos to Warner Brothers. Both of them. Or all three of them. Okay, the Replacements. Name a record, Tim. Wait a minute. They're naming the record Tim. There's a very popular guitar pedal that the creator of the pedal, Paul Cochran, named Tim, after Tim the Enchanter from Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail. I wonder if that is related, is what I'm trying to get out of my brain. Okay. The Replacements name a record Tim. 1985, Alex Chilton, Alcoholism. And here comes the regular song, Dose of Thunder, The Replacements.
Initial sessions for the Replacements' fourth album would start in mid-1985. Enthralled by the band after seeing them as the Boners, Big Star's Alex Chilton was the band's first choice for producer. After a single session with him yielding a power trash version of Kiss Me on the Bus, and the album
that sounds pretty good for that. Alex Chilton. I've never heard of Alex Chilton. I just want to look him up on the internet. Alex Chilton, where are you? There he is. American musician best known as the lead singer of the rock band The Box Tops and Big Star. He was in one of the bands that influenced the Replacements. His father was a jazz pianist. He recorded at the famed Muscle Shoals Fame Studios of Fame. Okay, Big Star.
version of Left of the Dial. Sire decided instead to set the band up with Ramones producer and drummer Tommy Erde. The album featured
Wait. So they didn't do it? They didn't work with Alex Chilton? Enthralled with the band after seeing them as Gary and the Boners, after a single session with him yielding a power trash version of Kiss Me on the Bus and an album version of Left of the Dial, Sire decided instead to set the... I wonder what happened. I guess they didn't like those recordings. Alright then.
Features a fresh bunch of dissatisfied anthems, led by its defiant first single. The album set the band up with Ramones producer and drummer Tommy Erde. The album features a fresh bunch of dissatisfied anthems, led by its defiant first single, Bastards of Young. Its first line nails their relationship with the music machine.
God, what a mess, on a ladder of success.
That said,
Hang on. You know what? Oh, I just searched Alex Chilton's Wikipedia for Replacements, and this shows up. Apparently, the Replacements wrote a song about him called Alex Chilton on their album Pleased to Meet Me.
its rallying cry. That said, its rallying cry of the chorus is frequently misheard. It took years for someone to pick up on the fact that the chorus is "Wait on the sons of no one," not "We are the sons of no one."
I totally heard We Are the Sons of No One. I gotta hear it again. Let's hear it again.
It took years for someone to pick up on the fact that the chorus is "Wait on the sons of no one," not "We are the sons of no one." I didn't even know that. I wrote it and I forgot it. I actually took it from a chapter in the Bible. It also features a line that sums up the conflicting nature of the band perfectly.
Biblical.
Left
That's a brilliant lyric. It makes me kind of sad.
Left of the Dial was an ode to the college radio stations that had done their part in getting the band national airplay. Though beneath the surface, it hid the story of Westerberg's long-distance infatuation with Let's active guitarist Lynn Blakey. I figured the only way
That's a good lyric too. Pretty girl, keep growing up. Playing makeup and wearing guitar. He switched the verbs.
I figured the only way I'd hear her voice was with her band on the radio, Left of the Dial on a college station. And one night we did. We were passing through a town somewhere and she was doing an interview on the radio, Left of the Dial. I heard her voice for the first time in 6 months for about a minute. Then the station faded out. For the most part, the faster, punky material of earlier releases was left by the wayside. The exceptions were the substandard Dose of Thunder and Lay It Down Clown.
That does sound like their older
Compositions
stuff.
only added so Bob had something to riff and solo over. Further complicating things, Bob was starting to become a liability. At the time, Bob was drinking more than us, and his drug intake was getting pretty intense. It wasn't like making the first record, where we'd all have a couple of belts and hit it live in the studio. It was hard for Bob to show up and have Tommy tell him, "We don't need a lead part until later, and maybe not until tomorrow." And maybe he'd show up the next day, and maybe he wouldn't. So I'd play the solo on Kiss Me on the Bus instead. Alcoholism.
Kicking the can down the road. Short-term results. Long-term festering.
He wouldn't. So I'd play the solo on Kiss Me on the Bus instead. Alcoholism is an omnipresent theme on the album, most notably on Swinging Party and Here Comes a Regular. By this point, the band was synonymous with beery excess. Westerberg puts their joint habit down to a mixture of stage fright and self-sabotage.
Being afraid is a crime, we hang side by side.
We definitely had a fear of success. We had a fear of everything. We were all very paranoid, and I think that goes hand in hand with the excessive drinking thing. We get drunk because we were basically scared shitless, and that snowballed into an image.
Oh, wow. It's interesting how some of the most artistic people are also the most sensitive and therefore scared shitless to go on stage. What a horrible existence, right? Stage fright, but you gotta go on stage. Have a beer. Be fine. Kick the can.
Here Comes the Regular was Westerberg acknowledging the likely trajectory of his professional alcoholism, washed up and alone.
Am I the only one here today?
While also being a conscious attempt to write a song that was sadder than Jacobites, it will all end up in tears.
It'll all end up in tears.
One of the songs that had won Seymour Stein over, and earmarked as a potential single, is notable by its absence. Can't Hardly Wait was attempted during the Alex Chilton session.
I can't hardly wait.
Sounds good.
But abandoned by Westerberg as not being worth the effort. The ones that didn't come easily, Paul didn't have a lot of patience for trying to figure out. Our whole career, that was the way a lot of songs came and went. It was dusted off for their next LP, Pleased to Meet Me.
Horns.
With added Memphis horns to power through, Westerberg
87. Yo, this could have been pop radio in 87, I think.
Pleased to Meet Me. With added Memphis horns to power through, Westerberg's imagining of it as an apathetic reply to Alex Chilton's The Letter.
Lonely days are gone, I'm a-going home. My baby just wrote me a letter.
That's who he was. Wow. Okay. Wow. Way to go, Alex Chilton. You had a hit and you're an awesome producer.
My baby just wrote me a letter.
In an additional act of self-sabotage, the band
I like his voice in that sample.
Wrote me a letter. Write you a letter tomorrow.
I hear the Alex Chilton influence when they're back to back like that. Yeah.
In an additional act of self-sabotage, the band decided to call the album Tim. It started off as an inside joke. I can't even remember what the reference was to. Calling a record Tim. After a bunch of drinks, it was funny. The
That's
next
funny.
day it wasn't so funny. But if you had more drinks, it became funny again.
I think it's
this
funny.
was twinned with one of the worst album covers ever. A hallway loomed over by a garish pink, upside-down pencil drawing of Bob Stinson, flanked by the rest of the band, their faces hidden. Even with
That is a horrible album cover. The fact that this is a pencil drawing, I'm impressed by the drawing, but the way it's presented, it just looks like a photograph. You can't tell how special it is at all. And then this crappy ass font over here, and all black and white. Like what? What? I don't think they wanted to sell records.
flanked by the rest of the band, their faces
Y'all, let's take the ugliest band member and put his face on the front.
hidden. Even with a glowing critical response. On its release in September 1985, Tim stuttered sales-wise. Because of this, Warner would have to try to market the replacements to America.
Uh-oh. Okay, the replacements get banned from SNL. What? 1986, not being aha. Harry Dean Stanton and MTV. Song Bastards of Young, the replacements. They played on SNL? This is in 1986? Y'all, I'm sure I've seen this then. I've seen every episode of SNL. Every episode. I know I've seen this. How did they get banned? What did they do?
They don't understand that we want to go as far as we can, but we don't want to be like Aha and shit. We're not like the Cult. We don't have a strong hip image that's going to sell right now, and they don't know what to do with us. In the MTV boom of the 1980s, a music video was the main way record labels had for introducing a band to the American music listening public.
Yes.
But as they'd stated on Seen Your Video, the replacements thought little of the medium. As a compromise, if Warner Brothers could get the band a live TV spot, they would do it. Westerberg reckoned that no one would be dumb enough to allow the Replacements on live TV, but they were snapped up by Saturday Night Live sight unseen. After the Pointer Sisters dropped out of the January 18th, 1986 episode, the Replacements took their place at 30 Rock. They didn't like us too much down there. They pretty much ignored us, thinking we would probably crumble, when in fact it was quite the opposite. Pretty much immediately, the band started getting drunk, to the horror of the NBC staff, and soon roped guest host Harry Dean Stanton into their pre-rehearsal party.
Oh no.
The soundcheck run-through went well, with the band suitably buzzed for premium performance. Bob, though, was a bit late coming into the solo for Bastards of Young, an
boy.
error that Westerberg would make sure would not happen for the actual show. When they went live, the Replacements were deafeningly loud, having secretly turned their amps up all the way after soundcheck.
That's not cool, Replacements. That's not cool. The poor engineer probably got fired. Why? Like, what? This blue-collar engineer probably has to live in New Jersey or Long Island, way out somewhere in Long Island. And he has to drive into the city. Oh, he doesn't have a car. What am I thinking? He takes the bus into the city to the 34th Street station. Then he takes the subway, the N train, up to 48th Street, 47th Street. And then he walks 2 blocks over to Rockefeller Center. Every day. Every day. And on the weekends. The weekend is the big show. He has Sundays off. Maybe Mondays. Thanks to the union. He got his level set based on the sound check. If you wanted to turn your amps up louder, you probably could have, and he could have dealt with it. He could have engaged a pad, turned the preamp down. It would have been fine. But instead, you sabotaged him. I disrespect you for that, Replacements. I also forgive you, because that's f***ing rock.
It would take the crew a couple of seconds to stabilize the audio levels.
See,
The
and then they
performance
got
raged
fired.
and stormed suitably well, despite the mat's disregard for camera blocking. To make sure Bob hit his cue, Westerberg shouted,
That's why.
Realizing he'd just sworn on live television, Westerberg cheekily winked at the camera to hopefully cover himself. It did not, and the producers were not amused.
They don't
For
like
their
that.
second song, Kiss Me on the Bus, they had swapped clothes beforehand, aside from Bob, who was doing his own thing. By this point, their performance had audibly suffered from the effects of their day drinking.
Oh.
Then, to top things off,
doesn't
they
sound
also
bad.
trashed the NBC-provided hotel room to the tune of $1,100.
That's rock,
As a
though.
result, the Replacements were banned for life from Saturday Night Live and would not appear on American television for another 3 years.
That's what happens, right? Oh, wait.
Though the performance was, by most stretches of the imagination, a disaster, it did get Tim into the Billboard chart for 7 weeks, peaking at
Hey.
number 183.
Any publicity's good publicity, right? Way to go. I didn't think that performance sounded that bad, and I kind of want to take a moment and look for it online, y'all. Hey, I like it. I think it sounds great. I think it fits them. It's rock. It's punk. It's great. It's sloppy, but it's like in a good way. I like it. I think it sounds great. Have I said that yet? I like it. I think it sounds great.
By this time, the sales had doubled to 75,000 copies sold. But this
Alright.
was not good enough for Warner. They
Okay.
again demanded the band make a music video. As Westerberg said, if we do a video, we want to do one that nobody would want to watch all the way through, much less twice.
Okay.
The Replacements, though, discovered a loophole. The band didn't need to be in the video. So for the Bastards of Young clip, they showed a speaker slowly zooming out for almost 4 minutes. One shot, black and white, classic. The minimalist clip
serious?
was shot by Bill Pope, who would later go on to DOP on big-budget blockbusters like The Matrix, Spider-Man 2, and Scott Pilgrim. As much as critics applauded the video's statement, MTV only played it a handful of times. Again, the Replacements had done the bare minimum, been praised for it, and it had done nothing to increase record sales.
Oh man, like, okay, they're subverting the genre. I love that, but if they just put a little more effort into this, it could have been a brilliant artistic statement. Like, even what I'm seeing here, this guy's kicking like that. Let's watch the video, y'all. Warner Brothers is not going to let me play this, but I'm going to watch it. It's cool that the speaker motion is lined up with the song. When the kick drum hit in, it starts moving. You can see the kick drum in the speaker. Hey, so the destroying the speaker comes at the end. That's a great climax. Hey, I think it's a good video. I like it.
Times. Again, the Replacements had done the bare minimum, been praised for it, and it had done nothing to increase record sales.
Well, people didn't get it. And that was the end of the Replacements. What's going to happen next, I wonder? 1986, open season, Lord and Legacy. Lord? Song Right to Arm Bears. I love, he does that a lot. He switches words a lot. That's very John Lennon of him. I like that. I like Paul Westerberg.
Tim was the Replacements' last truly great album. Bob was forced out of the band in August 1986 after attending a single demo session for the next album. He would be let go due to his increasing alcohol substance issues and resultant liability, as well as his metallic guitar runs just not having a place in the Replacements circa 1986. As Tommy bluntly put it, my brother was becoming a hindrance to Paul's songwriting growth, and what we were doing, he was just messed up. We were all messed up, but we were messed up less than him, and could forge on. As soon as he left, Bob's absence was clear. While the rest of the Replacements' output has moments of greatness, it severely lacks his boozy, spontaneous spark. The band would continue on for 3 more records, each being lesser than the last, each edging the band closer to the mainstream, but never getting there. Mars would leave just after the recording of 1990's All Shook Down, and a few months later, the Replacements were no more.
That was 1990. If they just held on another year or two, grunge would hit, and they'd be the Placements.
Westerberg would start his solo career soon after, best known for having a couple of songs featured on the single soundtrack.
That's how I know him. That's how I've heard of him. Yes, I remember that.
And later scoring
Oh, okay. That's him. Wow. I remember when that song was a hit. I didn't know his history. Wow, okay.
And later scoring the animated film Open Season. Tommy would form Bash and Pop before landing a full-time touring gig for Guns N' Roses. Mars would retire from music completely and take up painting. After his departure, Bob would form various bands to limited success before his death in 1995. Though many reported it was from an overdose, it was officially listed as natural causes. After a lifetime of living the life of Bob Stinson, his body had just worn out. He was only 35.
Dang. That's some partying, y'all. 35? R.I.P. Bob. You did good work.
A couple of months after the Replacements broke up, Nirvana broke through, finally kicking down the wall between alternative rock and the mainstream. As much as the Pixies, Wipers, and Melvins shaped Nirvana's sound, so too did the Replacements. Their ragged pop-punk, the core of Nevermind, its title perhaps taken from the Mats track of the same name. But Nirvana...
I was thinking Paul Westerberg's voice sounds a lot like Kurt Cobain. So I imagine he kind of gave Kurt Cobain the permission to sing like that, in a way.
But Nirvana weren't the only ones. You can hear their heart-on-sleeve rushes in Green Day, Jawbreaker, Superchunk, Against Me, the Gaslight Anthem, and The Hold Steady. While there are echoes of Unsatisfied and Here Comes a Regular in the old country of Wilco, Phoebe Bridgers, and old 97s. plus Lord covering Swinging Party in 2013.
Oh.
Being afraid is a crime we hang side by side.
Amazing voice.
Opening the band up for a new generation of potential fans. The Replacements' disastrous attempts at the big time are a large part of their legend, their legacy. The fact that we came up short is the thing that's kept us interesting. We've retained this mystique. And I don't know how, because god damn it, we tried. We tried to have hit records there at the end, and someone was looking out for us that we didn't. That someone could have just as well been themselves. Whether attempting to win an audience, or to get their name out there, the Replacements would rather aim for disaster than risk failure through trying. They were the coolest losers you'll ever meet. If it's any consolation, I don't begin to understand them.
I don't know. I get it. Whenever you're faced with that pressure, you got like a big performance, you get that stage fright, that anxiety, and you can either push through it and just like, or you can say F it all and sabotage it. They sabotaged it. Or you can do a mediocre job and just claim victory. You could do a mediocre job and claim failure, right? I like that they didn't give an F. How did he put it? Rather aim for disaster than risk failure through trying. Yeah. They didn't want to risk failure, so they aimed for disaster. Y'all be sure to go to Trash Theory and like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Patreon. Well, this was great. I think I'm the Replacements fan. I dig their songs. I dig that boozy looseness. It's fun. It's unpredictable. It's surprising. Is it about to fall apart into disaster? Maybe. That happened a lot at the shows. Or could they make it through a whole song? Maybe. What are they going to play next? I don't know. I like that. That Dyslexic Heart song is so poppy and sweet. It's hard to believe that came from him. The same guy that did Gary's Got a Boner. Same guy. At least he didn't have a dyslexic boner. Anyway, I'd like to thank my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you guys. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks for buying me coffee. I'd like to thank y'all for watching this with me. And see you next time. Later.